Hey everybody, welcome back once again to the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. I'm your host, Gene Jackson, coming to you as always from the Retro Wrestling Archive here in beautiful Gadsden, Alabama. And join me as always in welcoming back my co-hosts. First up, he's the Nightmare Nephew himself. It's Josh Briley of P3 Radio. Josh, how we doing, buddy?
I'm awesome, Gene, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Busy week this week, a lot going on, but we got to get the Retro Wrestling podcast done, right? So, do that.
I'll agree with you wholeheartedly there, man. I've been busier in a worker ant this week, but yeah, still here this morning, man. I love this stuff, man. It's like I get my wrestling fix, you know. I get to talk wrestling with friends.
Exactly, and it's the old stuff we enjoy more than the new stuff that people spend their days bitching about. But anyway, joining us once again, sitting in for the absent Richard Mulliken, it's the owner, founder, and president of STSPod.club. Hide your spoilers. It's Brian Trammell. What's up, Brian?
Brother Gene, Brother Josh. Come on, here we go. Whoop, there it is. Whoop. Is it great? My best friend Gene and my favorite co-host, my favorite host of P3 Radio. I just want to say I agree with Richard. If you throw a midget into anything, it makes it better. I can believe it or not. I am here with No Shave November since this show was in November, and we're sponsored by Furbuster. So there you go. I just want to Furbuster. If you know what I mean. I want a real quick note on this. This show aired on my mother's, love my mama, by the way, 47th birthday. So this aired on her 47th, and I was 27 at the time. Makes me feel extremely old right now. So I just wanted to make a note. I know it doesn't matter to y'all, but it did to me. So,
happy birthday to Mama BT. Not actually today as we record. Not actually Wednesday as this drops. But on the day that it happened in 1993, November 13th, mark that on your calendar, folks, and remember to wish BT's mom a happy birthday each year, or this year, when November 13th comes around in a few months. So, that's we're starting off in an interesting way. We just got going, and BT has agreed with Richard. So that's certainly unexpected. That's not something we've seen or heard on here very often. So that's a fun way to get things going off. You don't know what's going to happen on this week's episode of Retro Wrestling Review. We are off to a wild and woolly start.
I feel like he's probably in a sarcastic mood because that cannot be a true statement.
It wasn't true. I really believe it. If I go to Walmart and I see a good big booty, I'm happy. But if I went to Walmart and saw a nice big booty and a midget was running around, that's the best trip to Walmart ever.
Well, I do happen to know that that's one of the few topics that you and Richard are very much attuned with, and that is midgets. You guys have a lot of the same feelings about midgets, so that's kind of the thing that brings you guys together, so to speak. So
there you go.
And we got a lot of them happening here on Retro Wrestling Review here lately. It's Midget Mania month is what we should have called. I know BT over at STSPod.club, he likes to have themes. He likes to have month-long theme shows. This could have been Midget Mania month here at Retro Wrestling if I was if I was as much of a marketing guru as BT. I'm still learning, so I'm making notes of that, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to take advantage of things like this because, man, we're going to hear from Jamie Dundee again on this week's episode as he once again refers to the poor Elephant Man. But we'll get there. Right now, let's head back to November 13th, 1993 for some USWA Championship Wrestling. Corey lets us know we're going to be seeing a new tag team in action today, guys. PHI DELTA SLAM, who are made up of two guys one's named Textbook and the other's name is Bandit. Oh, boy. We'll see how, as awesome as that sounds, I'm a little skeptical, but we'll see. Plus, Liberty and Justice, the American Eagles, are going to be in action. And what a great expiration of time main event they promised us. As PG-13 with little Bob Midget D in there, taking on Brian Christopher and Jeff Jarrett. So I'm pretty excited about that one. When I heard that, when I turned on this episode, I thought, you know what? Even if the rest of this episode's not great, PG-13 versus Brian Christopher Jeff Jarrett sounds promising. You guys agree?
Yeah, I was super excited when I saw that. It actually did live up to the hype. I'll just say that. No spoilers.
Yeah, why don't you tell us the finish, BT, and we'll know. No, let's not.
All right, my bad.
All right. So in the opening match, this brand new tag team, they're not just going to wrestle some enhancement team. They're coming in and maybe they kind of are, but anyway, they're going to be taking on Tiger Mike Anthony and Missouri Tiger Jeff Gaylord. And I thought it would be fun since this is a brand new tag team. And we're doing something we don't normally do. We don't usually start the show out with a competitive match. Usually it's just a straight up squash. We have to assume this new tag team's at least not going to be just quote unquote jobbed out. So what do you guys think? We watched the debut match of PHI DELTA SLAM.
All right.
Hey, we're ready to go with this match.
Hey, Gene, did you find out anything about these guys?
A little bit, and we will talk about that at the end of the show when I go over some of the newsletter notes.
All right.
Dave Meltzer had a little bit of insight to who these guys are, and we definitely want to make sure Dave Meltzer gets all the credit he deserves.
Oh yeah.
We got some big fans of his listening. Look at Jeff Gaylord. He's got some new neon green tights and tassels, and he's ready.
I did talk to somebody that's on this show today that said that our thoughts on Gaylord are correct, that he was very hard to work with, he was very stiff, and he never got it. So there we go. We're not just making all that stuff up, folks.
See, guys, we're not always wrong. Sometimes we figure things out.
So we established before the match that one of them's name is Textbook and the other one's Bandit, right?
Right.
So I'm thinking Textbook is in the ring. It's got to be him, right?
I think so. Corey mentioned which one had a textbook under his arm when he came out, but now I don't remember which one he said it was. But
all throughout this match, Dave does not remember as well. He's the big guy. I thought that was great. Definitely not millionaires, They got the athletic tape holding the back straps.
Yeah, they were billed as being from College Town, which was very, very descriptive and fun, I guess, from College Town, the old PHI DELTA SLAM here.
And that gimmick's been used forever. They even had it on Memphis Wrestling during one time. So it's just one of those things where, I'm on the current Memphis Wrestling. There's one of those things where people, did y'all see that?
Yeah.
He comes in, makes a full circle, and then takes the bump. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing?
I thought, was he going for the Kerry Von Erich discus punch and then goes right into an arm drag?
Oh my God.
Mike Anthony's got a sweet arm drag, Ricky Steamboat style.
Give him credit, man. His ass is fucking taking him, making him look good. That wasn't a good choice. He could have really hurt him.
But Mike was in wrong position there, so. Oh me. They look like guys that worked outlaw shows. That's what they look like. But they, it might be somebody I know. So,
if you guys could keep it going, I got to respond to a text here.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed the big guy, Bandit.
This one right here. Yeah.
He seemed like you were talking. He had been somewhere and worked in front of people before.
They both worked really hard, man. They were trying and putting the heat real quick on Mike Anthony. And, I mean, that's the thing to do in this match. You let him take the beat and letting Gaylord get the hot tag. I mean, that was probably the plan, but I'm not going to spoil it. That was probably the plan.
Yeah, somebody probably smartened him up and was like, hey, guys, you want to keep Anthony in there as much as you can. Oh, shit. There it goes.
God.
Oh, This is twice in how many weeks that the top rope has shit out on us here?
I think 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
And I was hopeful because these were new ropes, new black tape ropes. They look great.
So now that the other guy just hit Mike Anthony in the back with the textbook, and I assumed this was the finish.
He went to the finish. Here's what happened: the ropes broke. He said, "I'm going to the fucking finish, and we're getting out of this. This is horrible." And there wasn't a referee to do it, so.
And TD knew it wasn't time, so it didn't count. When he actually had him down for 3, he didn't count. So now we're just winging it now. Because clearly the textbook was the planned finish, and now these guys are like, I don't know where we're at now. What's going on? Of course,
and
Gaylord,
Gaylord didn't even get the hot tag or nothing. He's just over there playing around. And he says, "Come on, T, let's get the fuck out of here."
And Anthony's like, "Mr. Steele, that was supposed to be the finish. Now I look like a jackass, Mr. Steele." TD's still in there.
What a great debut, man. Those guys was like, what the fuck, man?
What kind of second-rate bullshit
And, my buddy Tony Myers did the ring for a long time. I don't know if he was doing the ring during this time, but I'm going to blame it on Tony Myers, okay? So, Tony, what the fuck were y'all doing that day?
We talked about the last time how they didn't have another rope in-house, apparently, because we just did the rest of the show with 2 ropes. So, this is, I guess I don't want to step on your toes, BT. This is a bit of a spoiler, but we go into some promos now and some match clips and everything. And when we come back, we have a third rope. In the meantime, they have managed to get the ring repaired. So either they were smart enough to have an extra set of ropes around, or Eddie Marlin managed to fix them. But we do get a third rope back.
TD started trying to fix it as soon as he got out of the ring. He was like, I want to tell you, of all the shows I promoted, I can't remember the shows I promoted in my small ring crew, which was sometimes just me and some other guy. We never had anything like that happen. I'm not sure what happened there, and I can't remember. And Gene, you may have some instances where you had the ring, the ropes go crazy, but I don't ever remember them falling off or anything like that on shows. I've guesstimated. I worked anywhere from 300 to, and I know this is kind of about 350 to 500. Shows. I never had anything like that happen with the ring.
I was on a show. It was probably the third show I was ever on, and they shot a guy they called Big Bubba Monroe into the ropes. He was about my size.
I know.
And the rope snapped just like it did for our mutual friend Psycho. That time.
Yeah,
you saw that video. It snapped just like that, and Big Bubba Monroe, just like Psycho, went out on his freaking head. And I was scared to death to hit those, because that was Sammy Hall's ring, and that's the one we wrestled in every weekend. I was scared to death to hit the ropes in that ring for 2 or 3 months. I mean, I would hit them, but I would grit my teeth and say a prayer as I was running towards them every time, going, "Oh dear God, don't let that happen to me." Because
go over there and make sure they're tight. Look, you take a screwdriver. You can take a screwdriver and tighten it up. So what you're doing is you're just using the screwdriver for leverage. And Gene comes to the ring, goes, they're like, "What the hell's he doing?" So, that rope's got to be tight, man. Yeah, that's a fall. That's a fall you don't want to take. I wrestled in a battle royal one night, and Chris Champion super kicked me, and I was supposed to go over the top rope. It's just hard to explain. I kind of bounced on the top rope and then went through the top and the middle rope and went head first. I had a black eye. Not from the super kick, but from me hitting concrete floor. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's the ropes. You got to trust that. That is the big thing. You got to trust that. And that don't happen a lot, but when it happens, it's funny to us, but those guys were cussing. They were.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's take a quick podcast commercial break real quick. Give them a little extra time to fix the ring. And then we're going to come back and we'll see what Dave and Corey have in store for us.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia.
Hey guys, this is Wolfie D from PG-13. Check out my podcast, Live and in Color with Wolfie D, every Monday at noon. We're talking Memphis, we're talking ECW, WCW, WWF, everywhere that I've been. We even have some great guests, some Hall of Famers on the show with us. Every Monday at noon, Live and in Color with Wolfie D.
Hey, it's Bob Smith, and guess what? The Outdated Wrestling Hour is now part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. But hey, no fear, you're still going to hear the unique guests, comedy, music, authors, journalists, funny people. Who knows who's going to end up on the Outdated Wrestling Hour? Remember, it's all new and all old. So check it out in the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Listen if you know what's good for you.
All right, so as we return from the break, Dave and Corey pitched to a clip of the USWA Tag Team title match from last Monday night when Jeff Jarrett and Brian Christopher challenged the Real Man, Rex Hargrove, and the Birdman, Koko B. Ware. And they have both Toni Adams and Reggie B. Fine at ringside. I don't know that Reggie B. Fine was officially in their corner. Toni was. But at one point, all four men are in the ring fighting. Reggie B pulls Jarrett's leg from the outside and holds it, allowing Hargrove to pin Jarrett, and they retain the tag team titles. Or so it seems. So Reggie had slid up under as soon as he held Jeff's leg, he slid up under the ring undetected. We've retained the tag team titles. However, moments later, Jeff jumps out of the ring. He drags Reggie B out from under the ring, and Frank Morrell just immediately reverses the decision. Just because Reggie B was under the ring, even though he didn't see anything actually happen and nobody besides Jeff told him anything happened, he just immediately reverses the decision and awards the titles to Brian Christopher and Jeff Jarrett, which I guess is good because we're holding up belts here as
I thought
quickly
that
as
was
we
a
can.
shitty finish. It was 15
awful.
minutes, which I'm really good. I'm happy that they went 15 minutes. But did y'all notice that Brian Christopher did a double DDT to show Jeff Jarrett how to do a fucking DDT?
Yes, I did. He definitely needed to give his tag team partner some DDT lessons. So afterwards, Koko, Reggie, and Rex Hargrove attack the new champs. They beat them down. And eventually, Hargrove holds Brian, and we get a reenactment of what happened on TV last week, except this time, Brian Christopher is playing Tony Williams, and Tony is just repeatedly slapping Brian upside the head awkwardly. Until
when that's happening, I all that's going through my head is this has to be revenge. Like Brian was like, "Okay, Tony, quit bitching. I'll go out there and fucking I'll let her slap me 20 times," and that's what happened. It was like,
and then Tony Williams slipped Hargrove a 10 spot or something. Like, hey, hold on to him for at least 4 slaps. All right. So, so Brian's getting slapped repeatedly, and then this happens.
Here comes Miss Texas. She knows Toni Adams. Oh, Reggie B. Fine goes Miss Texas and Texas. Oh, that is absolutely ridiculous, let me tell you. Miss Texas, Jarrett, all of them out in there. Christopher, all out in 15 minutes, 14 seconds. Koko Ware grabs Miss Texas by hand. Hey, come on, is ridiculous, I tell you. Koko Ware, with absolutely no manhood at all, picks up Miss Texas.
1 minute clip, we get 2 ridiculouses in there, so you really know this shit was ridiculous.
What a brainbuster, guys! What a brain!
Good Lord, we've talked about how it seems like Brian has a vendetta against Miss Texas. Reggie B clotheslined Miss Texas harder than I've ever seen Reggie B hit anyone with anything in the entirety of his career that I've watched.
He hit her with the Steiner line.
He did. It was like Scott Steiner, Rick Steiner and JBL taught Reggie B. Fine how to throw a clothesline for one day with a little Stan Hansen mixed in there, but it was rough. And then when I thought it couldn't get any worse, Koko picks her up and gives her one of them old school brain busters like me and Ray Russell's been watching him give people back in 85 that was just killing folks. Seemingly.
The Ghostbuster.
Yes, it was the Ghostbuster.
Dude, I when I seen that behavior, only thing that played through my head was, I don't think it's Brian. I'm pretty sure she's telling them, you be as rough as with me as you would be with anybody else, and that's what they're doing. And it looks great. It looks great. And it always put Miss Texas in another light with me. I always thought she could beat probably half the men up in the crowd.
I always thought she was tough as fuck. That's what
Well, BT, do you agree with Josh? Do you think Miss Texas is telling people this, or you think just because she's so stiff on people that people are coming at her stiff to be like, all right, bitch, you want to throw it? Here, we'll give it to you.
I had talked to Brandon Baxter one time about working Miss Texas. She was very, very stiff, and he said she would take everything that you gave her. So yeah, it sounds a lot like she said, I'm wrestling these men, don't be easy on me.
I know Downtown Bruno has said that, he's been hit by some of the biggest, meanest men in professional wrestling, but Miss Texas gave him some of the worst beatings he ever took inside of a ring, which is the statement, because we've seen pretty much everybody who's anybody come through Memphis beat up Bruno at some point. So I thought that really said a lot for Miss Texas when Bruno told me that. So from there, we hear from Rex Hargrove and Toni Adams. Toni tells Brian Christopher to quit calling her house, quit leaving notes on her car, because she doesn't want anything to do with him anymore. And her real man, Rex Hargrove, promises to take out Brian Christopher. So here's a couple of shots. Here's her and her real man here.
I'm sorry, I disagree. I know Josh likes her, but God, she's horrible. She is just so bad.
I think it's just like any of them, man. They got their good days and bad days,
Oh, she was bad.
That was a bad Saturday. She probably had a long Friday.
There we go. What was we thinking? She had her stomach pumped 3 times that night. So.
It always kills me that they just threw that into the newsletter with no context. Just,
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah.
Like, y'all need some explanation there or something. Just like, she missed the show because she was having her stomach pumped. Like, what?
Damn. It's killed me to know what. Like, what was it? Ink pens? Drugs?
At least she wasn't having her ass pumped. They could say that. So there you go.
That was probably the next day. But
what was that rumor back in the day? Was it Richard Gere had to get his stomach pumped?
No, Rod Stewart. Rod
Stewart.
That's Stewart. Richard Gere was the gerbil rumors.
Yeah,
gerbils. Some rodent of some description. I don't remember which. It doesn't really matter at this point. If he put either one of them up there, that's not cool. But anyway, so the next match, the American Eagles, Liberty and Justice, with Little Eagle in their corner, taking on Reggie B. Fine and the real man, Rex Hargrove, with, of course, Miss Toni Adams in their corner. Before the match even starts, Dave Brown makes fun of the fact that Reggie B has on a new cap that he didn't even bother to take the tag off the top. I guess Dave wasn't aware that was the style at the time.
Yeah. I used to do that as a joke when I was in the pizza restaurant. Guys would come in with the tag on there. I'd go, hey, man, you got the tag on your cap. And they'd go, oh. It was just a joke.
But like, I know, dog.
I don't think that was a joke for him. I think he really thought that.
Dave thought he was really dunking on Reggie B here.
Yeah.
That he forgot to take the tag off his hat. Little did he know that half of Memphis is walking around with tags on their freaking hat. But,
Dave's uncultured.
at least with that culture, anyway. But yeah, that was a style. I didn't subscribe to that style, but many folks did, especially Reggie B fans, if you will. But much to my surprise, they did manage to fix and replace the ropes here. So we've got 3 ropes, and they even made mention. Corey's like, "We gotta get them ropes fixed for that main event." Brian's back there like, "I ain't wrestling with 2 ropes on the ring," and James is like, "No, get some damn ropes up there." So they got them fixed. We just see that. So Uncle Danny starts the match, and we know that because the eagle that starts the match is wearing red boots. We don't know if it's Liberty or if it's Justice.
Well, he is. Dave called him Justice.
Did he?
So
all right. So,
it is confirmed.
So Danny's Justice. I'm glad y'all cleared that up.
That's disappointing.
I know.
I
was hoping.
to be Justice, but it does retroactively. It makes sense. So Uncle Danny is doing everything he can to make Hargrove look good here. And honestly, the American Eagles probably should have been the only guys that Rex Hargrove worked with for probably a few months at least, if not a few weeks, because these guys both knew how to work with somebody and cover up their flaws. And
a big person, too. Everything was about him being a big person. That's very good. Very good.
So upon us finding out that Rex Hargrove, had so little experience, it really kind of changed the way I watched his matches. And so I was really looking for it here, when this match starts, like, all right, let's see how bad this guy is. And then, Uncle Danny starts out and like, man, there's something to be said for the talent of Danny Davis, because you never would have known here that Hargrove is as inexperienced as he is. But holy cow, has Hargrove not got some of the phoniest looking freaking punches you've ever seen in your life? God damn, they can't hide that for him.
Yeah, he's green.
The ending came sort of suddenly here. Do you guys think this was the planned finish, or was this another TD?
I thought it was really weird. That's what I put. Weird finish. So I don't know what the fuck.
Something was extremely off, and maybe they was just told like, hey, we got to go to another deal or whatever. But it was extremely sudden.
Yeah, I don't know, man. TD for 2 matches here, it felt like the finish was off, and it's like he hasn't been reffing here lately. He had been back to being in the ring, and we had Kevin Christian was back, we had Frank Morrell, so I kind of wish we'd get TD back in the role he excels in. Of course, that's dancing around doing like an Ali shuffle right where he gets jobbed the fuck out. But so the weird finish, it saw Toni Adams trip Justice or Liberty, I don't remember now even whose boots it was, and held his foot for Hargrove to get the pin. So we replicated. And so it makes me feel like it's the right finish, that maybe it's not TD's fault. Maybe it's Toni's fault. Maybe she went for it too soon, because we replicated the finish from the clip and the referee called it in process this time and immediately called for the DQ. So the finish makes sense in the context of last week's title match. Just the timing of it just seemed off. The match seemed way too short. It seemed to come out of nowhere. We never officially saw Reggie B. Fine tag into this match. It was all Rex Hargrove, which isn't unusual for a Reggie B. Fine match. But so far, guys, I'm impressed that we're not seeing any squash matches this week. It's, the first 2 matches we've had, 2 tag teams against each other that were competitive.
We're seeing that the last show that I reviewed and this show, and Josh is the first person to really, I think, point this out, was that these matches for the last few weeks feel like a spot show. Feels like you're at the spot show. There's a lot of, which I don't want to spoil the main event, but there's usually a lot of babyface shine on those matches because they want the crowd to get into it and be happy. And then there's a little bit of heat. And that's kind of what they're doing here. They're trying to put over people. So, and I like the spot show, especially that main event. That would have been fun to watch on a spot show.
Oh yeah. Because the matches we've seen for the majority of this year have had no consequence whatsoever. They serve no purpose other than for people to run in to set up, Monday night's matches. So, yeah, I'm liking this. I hope we kind of follow this, and we've only got a few weeks left here in 1993, but I hope we kind of continue down this path. Our next match features another newcomer. Well, sort of, but not really. Match number 3, Del Rios takes on the Warlock. And, let's take a little bit of a look at the Warlock against Del Rios, and you guys let me know if the Warlock seems familiar to you.
My goodness, man! What a mask he's got on. Not your conventional wrestler's mask. Let me tell you, dangerous looking wrestler in the Warlock going against Del Rios. TD Steele is saying, "All right, guys, we're about ready to go here." And there's the signal from the referee. 1 fall, 10-minute time limit. Here we go, Corey Macklin.
Yes, sir, Dave Brown. We're ready to go. The Warlock and Del Rios. Rios just shoves the Warlock off over there. And New York City, the Warlock. Hearts unknown. And knee lift, boy, and a big forearm from the Warlock. What a slap on the back. Reversal. Rios whips him in. Nice hip toss, takes the Warlock down. Couple of clotheslines, there's Rios in there.
Well, I tell you what, if you missed the first part of this match, let me tell you, you're looking at the Warlock against Del Rios, and this Warlock, man, is a powerful, dangerous-looking wrestler.
Got some. To the other side, it goes running up to the Warlock. Sets him up again and to the other side of the turnbuckle. And Rios misses. Warlock snaps that leg. He snatches it from under and covers him. 1, 2, 3, that'll do it. Warlock gets the win.
Well, kudos to BT for not spoiling the identity of the Warlock before we at least saw the clip.
It was that tan, y'all. That forearm and that tan. I knew exactly who it was when that happened right there. I was like, look at that tan. That looks from... And then when he did the forearm. By the way, if you look really close, we almost saw Del Rios's balls during that match. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, after 2 weeks of being the Red Knight, unfortunately, he's back in his Daisy Dukes this week.
Yep.
So I almost knew immediately because of the boots. He still had the same boots. And then my mind went to, oh my God, like, did he just borrow some Aluna shit? Like, that's horrible. Very androgynous. I don't know what the deal with this is. Like, do you think this was like a one of those like customs type matches that just somehow made it into syndication? Like, because that's a horrible look. I don't know why he would have thought that would have been a good deal.
And I have to imagine that he must have thought that this was maybe a gimmick that WWF would have been interested in or something, because there was more value in the Vampire Warrior, who had just been here as USWA champion and feuded with Jeff Jarrett extensively, than just presenting him as a new guy. And there was no tongue-in-cheek like, I had this new guy in here, Dave, but I think he looks kind of familiar, the old suntan vampire in there. There was none of that wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Hey, he's new, but you know who that is. We act like we've never seen this guy before in our lives. Like this is a brand new character on the scene. So the only thing I could figure is he must have thought the Warlock was going to be more marketable than the Vampire Warrior. And I don't know how, because I'm like you, man. That was that outfit, just everything about it. I mean, I guess Warlock may be a better name than Vampire Warrior. I was always kind of on that name. But
well, honestly, dude, during this time period, 1993, Undertaker was a babyface at this point. And I always thought, like, that would have been a great feud. Like, instead of Giant Gonzalez at WrestleMania 9, if you would have inserted Vampire Warrior and had a bunch of like vignettes and build-ups and small interactions, like that Dark Force versus the Dark Force, I think it could have been great, especially if you would have had somebody like a Burt Prentice step in as the mouthpiece. I went Mike Tyson there for a minute. The mouthpiece.
Wheel, baby. Step up there, public at the mouthpiece for the.
Bird Prentice, baby, I see it. I see you with the Vampire Warrior, blonde hair, baby.
You can't miss me, honey. I'm pretty large in your chart.
But that would have been great, dude, against Paul Bearer and the Undertaker for that time period.
And once I saw the Vampire Warrior, I was like, why would you ever put a mask on him, as the Blackhearts or now as the Warlock? The guy's got a great look. He's an interesting, scary looking dude. And when you put those fangs in, he looks like a freaking vampire. He looks like somebody that would have been on the old True Blood show or something. Why would you cover that up? He's got a marketable look.
Aside from, I know y'all may remember him from indies back in the day, but he buys houses and shit around here now. But aside from Vampire, Dustin Ring, I forget what he was on wrestling, but he would come out, he would hang on the top rope. He had that Lost Boys look.
Oh,
but
yeah. Very much so.
Aside from him, Vampire Warrior was the only other vampire gimmick that I truly bought into. He reminded me of David from the Lost Boys, the blonde hair, just that look.
Oh, I agree. I was really confused watching this match. Like I said, with Vampire Warrior having the run that he had, it's not like this was 2 years ago or something. He was literally just here and was a champion, and they put a lot of time in him. I just don't understand bringing him in as a new character when it's you guys, you see the tan, you see the way he moves, you see those boots. There's so many tells here that at the very least, had he lost a loser leave town match to Jeff Jarrett or something, be like, okay, well, now he's trying to sneak back in, but he didn't. There's no reason that he would have to come in under a mask, but yet here we are. But like the answer is to most things, it's Memphis. Who knows why they do the shit they do, but they do it. They did it for a long, long time before this. They did it for a long time after this. It's what they do. So, again, I can only assume that maybe he thought that the Warlock gimmick might be something since the WWF's watching. Maybe they might see it. They didn't bite on, so to speak, no pun intended. They didn't bite on the Vampire Warrior, so maybe they'll bite on Warlock. So next up, PG-13 comes out. And I know we've listened to a couple of PG-13 promos recently. I'm digging them. I know Richard's a big fan of when he's here, and I know both of you guys are as well. So let's hear. It's not a long one, but it's pretty. As JC Ice was at this time, it's pretty fun. Let's check it out.
Well, we've got the ring waiting here. We got Jeff and Brian standing by to climb in there. They're going to be going against PG-13. PG-13 should be headed this way momentarily. They're going to have Midget D. Here he comes leading the way with a hubcap. And we are just going to be set. Look, you guys have got a match here.
I don't care about a match. I'm not in a very good mood because there's 3 weeks, 4, 5, 10 weeks in a row you're trying to humiliate us. There's a plot against PG-13. You're trying to humiliate. First, you're going to shave the man's head. He's winning and you want to shave his head. Then you want the man to wear a diaper. And now this week, if he loses, he's got to leave town. Yeah. Well, I promise you and all these people that they're finally going to get to see the head of the Elephant Man. That's right, he is an Elephant Man, Dave Brown. That's why he wears the mask. Big knots and noggins. And I promise you that this week, you're going to see the head of the Elephant Man. And Midget D is staying right here because he's our main man. And if he leaves, Dave Brown, we may just leave. I know you'll hate that, won't you?
Well, we'll just see. You got to prove it in the ring. Speaking of...
There's a reason to buy a ticket this week. I always ask, are you guys going to buy a ticket? You get promised to see the head of the Elephant Man, guys.
Oh, my God. That was hilarious. Oh,
so good. That's twice, though. That's twice that he's directly referred to that. So I feel like there's a bit of truth in it. There has to be.
We feel he's got an oblong head. So we just really think that. So.
Yeah, I mean, he looks, just the shape of that mask, he looks like Timmy from South Park's wearing a mask. So, yeah, I don't doubt that Jamie ain't telling a little truth on that one for sure. So, he's piqued my interest in seeing what happens in this upcoming match. And, I don't want to see little Midget D have to leave town. So, hopefully we will indeed get to see the head of the Elephant Man. And this week he didn't use the word deformed like he did last week. So I'm thinking maybe somebody like, hey, Jamie, for God's sakes, take it easy on this guy.
Somebody grabbed his arm real tight.
I don't know. All the stuff that Brian Christopher says and the stuff that he says, you're just like, there's nobody holding these guys back. So.
Maybe our friend Dell's like, hey, Jamie, why don't you take it easy on the midget, man?
He's crying in the corner over there.
He's over there crying his little deformed mask over there. He's threatening to go home.
I ain't gonna listen to nobody wears fucking shorts and shit like that.
Hey, that's what Danny's mother made for him. All right, leave him alone.
I think that's what Burt Prentice made for him. And tie the front. Tie the shirt in the front.
Oh my God, poor Dale. I don't know who thought that was a good idea, but as soon as they saw it on television, somebody should have been like, you know what? I know we told you to wear that. No. We're not. No. We can't have you out here looking like a member of the Village People, dude. We got to put you in something else. But no, he's out here week in and week out with some.
You know what he reminds me of? I've thought about it forever, but you know what Dale reminds me of? He reminds me of like one of those cops that like dress up like they're supposed to look like a prostitute.
Stripper?
He reminds me of like an undercover cop as a gay prostitute.
Oh, there you go.
Like the episode of Reno 911.
Yes.
Lieutenant Dangle's like, I got the perfect outfit for you. Come here.
It looks totally natural.
The biggest crime in all this is Bert's not here to enjoy any of this. You know, he's not even in the territory right now. He would be eating this up, literally. So right now, we're going to check out the expiration of time match. We've never done this before in the entire history of the show. We have never watched two matches here live in real time on the show. So we not only is this show record breaking because BT agreed with Richard Mulliken, but we're on a watch two matches in one show. Can it even be done? Well, let's find out right now. All right. We can get it to play. Maybe we can. I may have spoken too soon. Here we go. All right.
Christopher, one fall up in this match.
So there they are. They've regained the tag team titles.
This is second fall, right? Yeah, he just said they're one fall up.
Yeah, so we didn't get to see the whole thing here.
Well, I had the first fall on my tape.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I watched a different.
And
it was really weird too.
Yeah, we're just. I mean, I stand corrected. We saw it on the show. We're just not going to watch it here on our show.
So it was weird that Corey said we don't have much time left. I looked at it and we had like 23 minutes left in the show.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was going on, unless this was just for the Memphis show or what. But then Jamie's doing that shit. Good God.
Well,
they're not.
What it is they've shown this all out of sequence. I'm sure on television, live television, this probably was at the end of the show because, spoiler on what we're watching, they actually air another match after this. But I'm sure in the live version they probably were running out of time to some degree. But anyway, this is the first time we see Brian wearing trunks that say "Too Sexy" on the back. He hasn't adopted that as a nickname as of yet.
All second-generation wrestlers, y'all. How about that?
That's a great point. I did not think about until you said that. That is a great point. All right, they're proud of themselves. They just mocked the living hell out of Brian right there. That was good stuff from Jamie.
And Dave, he doesn't notice that. He's just thinking like Jamie's screwing around.
You can look at Brian's face until he noticed. He's like, all right, you little smart ass.
I know. Wouldn't you like to hear what they say after this match in the dressing room?
Kidding.
Oh, God.
Or even in that headlock right then.
Yeah. Woo! There we go.
Oh, shit. Super kick in there. Oh, God, another one for Wolfie.
Get that little fucker, too.
I thought he was going to hand out a third one.
I love this. All right, yeah. Ninja throwing. Yeah.
Theory confirmed, like a sack of fucking hammers. That little dude. Did you see what he did to that man?
Oh, Ricky's gonna hate he missed that.
Oh, I a huge fan of all four of these guys, and well, the Midget too, but just a huge fan. And they were just so good. I mean, think about their experience, but still, just at this point in their career, they did not only could they do the moves, but they did all the psychology and all the bullshit around them too.
And Jeff's fixing to be headed off to the WWF soon, but I mean, these guys are the future of the USWA right here. Brian and PG-13 are what the show's going to be built around for the next, few years, and it's in good hands.
Brian Christopher, Wolfie D, Ty Christopher and his partner Jeff Jarrett.
But yeah, this is definitely spot show all day long.
Oh, very much so. Yeah.
And honestly, they probably did this match the night before somewhere. Oh, there it is.
I'm going to show you how to do it.
That's how you do it.
He's doing.
Yeah, a little celebration station from Brian Christopher.
Yeah.
We're coining it. Celebration station.
I'm going to keep that celebration station in there. Whoop, there it is. Look at that mullet on Wolfie.
He's got the side slats cut too.
Hell yeah, he's got it exactly like he likes it there. TD's our only referee today. I don't know where Frank and Kevin Christian everybody is, but it's...
Christopher attacks the Fabulous One Jeff Jarrett. Leaps over Wolfie D, and Wolfie
Look at that. Eat your heart out, Ricky and Robert.
Is that Ricky Morton? That's a joke from the Doug Gilbert podcast.
Yes.
There you go. I threw it back. I came all the way around to that joke.
If you didn't get that, folks, you need to listen to the most recent episodes of Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. And they are on a new feed now. I'm getting asked that on a daily basis. Yes, they are on a new feed. Go to DougGilbertPodcast.com to see where you can check it out.
Oh, I love that right there.
Oh,
I love that. And what he runs over there, you hear what he says. It's so good.
Now that was fabulous.
Oh, damn, that's perfect.
Yes. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh. You can see it all over Jeff's face. As soon as he slapped him, Jeff's like, oh, no, the hell you didn't. And then he just put the icing on the cake with that line. That's why I wanted to make sure the sound was on. You can hear me adjusting the sound. I wanted to make sure we got that.
Good stuff.
I got to thinking, man, like I've done this a lot with this show, just get to reminiscing and thinking back. PG-13, they were like probably the only ones that were truly in tune with like what was really happening with, the way people were and shit like that. Like, with that comment that really cemented, they see it too. That's absolute bullshit what Jeff was doing with all those vignettes.
Yes.
And oh God.
And it reminded me last week, when they're out there and Jamie's like, it's got to be the shoes. Like, I remember, like, 1993, that was the thing.
Yes.
That was the commercials that were on and everything. They always, throughout their run, they were always in tune with pop culture and what was going on at the time.
Even I remember going to a show, I guess it was in early 96, and I was like, Wolfie was versing Brian Christopher. And what it was, I was totally just like, I love it. I was so happy that Wolfie had on the same shoes as I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The Deion Sanders.
Uh-oh.
By the way, they were real confused on that Duncan clothesline deal. Did you see that? They did it on both sides. I was like, what the hell happened there? Look at that face. See, all that stuff is not – it's like they learn all that stuff, but it has to be. You can do all this. See, look, I mean, it's just good. So
you
good.
think of how many spot shows that Jamie and Brian and Jeff had grew up watching their dads on, and even Wolfie, and they took all that in, and they're able to. I mean, these guys are all wise beyond their years. You know what I mean? Like they're so much more comfortable than they have any right to be at this point in their career.
I remember going to the shows and Valiant was there. I would say if he was playing, I did. If he would wrestle, I'd be okay. But if he was playing, I didn't want to watch a Valiant match, even though I was a fan. But he would do all this, during the shine, he would do all this kind of goofy stuff. And then Dundee did a lot of that too on spot shows, where he'd go into the crowd and sit on some woman's lap and all kinds of little spots like that. But when I start watching, like you just said, I start watching these matches, they're doing all that kind of stuff too. Brian's so good at it. Well, Jamie is too, but Brian is really good at it.
Yeah. My complaint with Jimmy Valiant was just that he had his certain collections of spots that he did, and he just did all of them every time in the same order. It's just like it was Jimmy Valiant's greatest hits every time he got in the ring after a certain stage of his career.
Now I'm going to show my thumb up your ass, baby.
I mean, I worked him a couple of different times, and we had the exact same match both times, which, I mean, I didn't care. I was so happy to be in the ring with Jimmy Valiant, I didn't give a shit, but it was funny because he would explain it to me like I'd never seen it before. All right, baby. And then you're going to get down on all fours. And I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to do that spot. Yeah, here's what I'm going to do. He insisted on explaining the whole thing to you,
That was confusing, too. What the hell's wrong with Jeff? I think Dave did a good job covering that up. So.
Yeah. Jeff's got his Easter outfit on, even though it's
November.
What the fuck?
Here. That's what I was going to say. He looked like a fucking Easter egg. Ha ha! Easter egg. Ha ha!
That's fabulous.
I'm fabulous.
Now that's Easter.
Meanwhile, Brian's got his Halloween get up on over there.
I love it. How did they decide who was going to take the heat? Brian says, "You're just going to take the heat, okay?"
I was just going to say, I always hated the way that PG-13's shorts, like from afar, it looked like they set on some shit in the car that they shouldn't, like a takeout plate or something. Until you got right up close to it, it didn't look like it made sense.
Uh-oh. Oh.
Oh, my God.
That worked out
That
horribly.
rope, too, man. That rope was scary looking.
All I could think about watching this was Corey saying, "We got to get that rope fixed before the main event." It's like he was in there when they called the finish or something.
Wouldn't that be a DQ?
Absolutely.
On Brian? Yeah. I mean, I'm confused. Everyone who called the finishes for this show, just shitty finish after shitty finish. So.
You ain't never booked a finish in your life, Brian Trammell. You don't criticize.
I actually have. Yeah.
Not on anything important you didn't. You never called one for Power Pro, you son of a bitch. How dare you criticize?
I'm sorry, Randy. I'm sorry.
Who?
Eddie Marlin's the star of the show, damn it, and he called that. So don't you dare question Eddie Marlin. Uh-oh. Nope.
As far as Jeff and Brian are concerned, it's not going to matter a whole lot because they got the victory in the first fall. So they're going to have the win in the match, 1 fall to none. Now, but they're inviting PG-13 in. The referee is gone. The referee is left. Brian Christopher just lying there saying,
the referee's gone. Look, TD had to poop. I got to go, brother.
TD's like, I got to be to work in 20 minutes. The oil ain't going to change itself.
Look at that. Look at that. Oh! Love that stuff. Love it.
All right. There we go. That was fun.
That and the first fall was action packed, man. Like I'm sitting there watching it on my phone in the living room last night with my wife. She's sitting there on her phone doing something completely different. And more than one occasion, I'm like, bam, motherfucker. And she just, in horror.
I know. I popped too. I thought it was really good. I watched it last night. I don't know. I love and I may not have liked it as much, but after so many years, I like to sit and watch the way they did stuff back then and how they followed the psychology. I remember seeing some very old matches where there's really no psychology whatsoever. And I don't know when it started, but this is current WWE psychology in the sense that you put the babyface, the babyface gets the shine, then you get the heat, then you get the hot tag. It's all the same thing. And this was 30 years ago. So I don't know when that actually started, but they're using it.
Well, it's about time they had some psychology in WWE matches. But once again, this is not the Memphis version of the show. And so something odd happened on this week's show that we haven't seen happen in these past few weeks. Since we've been seeing these non-Memphis shows, we actually see a clip of the main event from this week's Mid-South Coliseum show. That everything else that you saw on the show was from the live Memphis show that set up that Monday's Mid-South Coliseum event. Well, the clip that we saw next actually happened on that Mid-South Coliseum show. So we've never seen them go back and put in the finish of a show into that same week show. But anyway, we see Jeff Jarrett taking on the WWF's Crush for the USWA Championship, and Crush wins the USWA title thanks to interference from the real man Rex Hargrove and Toni Adams handing a foreign object to Crush. He knocked out Jeff Jarrett. He won the title. There's a shot of Crush holding up that god-awful belt. Luckily, he's got it facing the other direction. I'm sure Frank Morrell had that belt, and Crush like, what the hell is this? Like, take that back. But anyway, that's how we wrap the show up this week, with seeing Crush win the USWA title. And I don't have the card ahead of the end of the show, so I'm not going to run down the card. But we're going to take our final commercial break. BT, if you need to step away for a moment, you certainly can. And then we're going to talk about what you liked, what you didn't like, and then we'll hear what did actually happen on the Monday night show that week.
Jackson, Tennessee, get ready for a night of non-stop laughs at Cody's Sports Bar and Grill. On May 10th at 7 p.m., we're bringing some of the best comedians in the area to the stage. Tickets are $10 at the door, but why pay more? Grab yours in advance for just $7 at codyscomedy.eventbrite.com. Great food, cold drinks, top-tier comedy. What more could you ask for? This event is 18 and over, so make sure you bring your ID and your best sense of humor. Comedy at Cody's Sports Bar and Grill, May 10th, 7 p.m. in Jackson, Tennessee. Be there.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Give Me Back My Pro Wrestling, the podcast that's based on the old school but can still help you find the good stuff from today. Jimmy Street and the Plastic Chic, Jared, are the undisputed tag team champions of the wrestling podcast world. From thought-provoking topics to superstar interviews to action figure expertise. This team does it all. And all they ask is, give me back my pro wrestling. Every other Thursday, wherever you listen to podcasts.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/wrestlepod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
I wanted to bring up the point. Do you think it was a conspiracy that Toni Adams helped Brian Adams win the fucking title?
Oh, that's a good point.
That went through. I was like, damn, I need to bring that up tomorrow.
Yes, that's a very good point. I usually cut this out while we're killing time for BT to come back. I may have to leave this in because that's a very good point. And I'm not going to be a spoiler, but I don't know that we're going to get a chance to hear that even possibly play out the way this ends up going down. But we'll talk about that more on the next.
Please don't say what I think you're saying, because she has to be around.
No, she's around. So anyway, we'll talk some more about next week's show here.
Hey, Gene, I did look at the results.
Of course
so,
you did.
Me being the schooler, you said you didn't have them.
I have them. I'm saying last week I had the card without the results, and I read it off before we went to the commercial break.
Okay.
But I've got the results. We're fixing to talk about those.
All right.
First,
shut up.
But first, let's talk about what was your least favorite part of this week's show?
I think mine was, I guess it would be the PHI Delta Slam and the Tiger Boys, just because I really liked the way Bully or what was his name? Bandit.
Yeah.
Bandit. I really liked his movement. He was really fluid in a lot of the shit, and it seemed like he had really been wrestling somewhere, and seemed like he was really, really trying. And I had so much hope for that match, and then the fucking ring breaks. So it was like a biscuit, sopped up every bit of that hope, and I'm like, yeah, that's going to be great. It's done. For, like we said, in 3 weeks, we've had 2 rope breaks. So if I'm a wrestler, I don't have very much faith in this, but even less than I did before in the integrity of the ring.
Can you imagine being Wolfie having to go up to the top rope with that hubcap and in the last match the rope had already snapped once during the day, and now you got to climb up there and then drop nuts first onto that rope? I'd have been like, no, we're calling.
Nope, I'm not doing that. Yep.
What was your least favorite part, BT?
Toni Adams.
Okay.
That interview, I just can't even listen to her talk.
I'm not a fan of her talk. I stated that last week. I'm definitely not a fan of her talking.
Of it, especially when we're doing the reviews.
Oh yeah, I mean I watch it. I'm just I get where you're coming from. I don't enjoy her promos at all. Did you see that bikini picture we put up over there a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
So my least favorite part of the show is David Heath being presented under a mask as the Warlock. I don't get it. But anyway, what was your most favorite part of this week's show?
Mine, it was the main event. Like we were talking about, it had a total spot show feel. All the crowd was into it. Like that spot where Brian sneaks up behind Jamie on the outside, taps him on the shoulder and slaps him in the face, and all the facials and stuff. There's the cameraman where he's at. He's over the shoulder of one of the women in the crowd, and she is like snapping. She's she is so into it, and man, that it was very illustrative of the scene. It was like, wow, that's me right now. It's just, it was like very, very different from 3-4 months ago. The total feel like this is a different show. There's a lot of energy involved, and like this is probably my favorite match that we've watched reviewing the show. It was action packed.
BT,
my favorite part was being able to see Dale's balls almost anyway. So no, my favorite, everything.
Take it easy, brother.
Everything Josh said. Big fan of being able to watch these young guys who, like we said 30 years ago, but just watching the way they do things. Brian Christopher and also Jamie Dundee are just so, when it comes to the psychology and everything, are so far more than they should be. But Jamie started in Knoxville as, I don't know, he was real young, and he was just a manager. He wore his dad's suit, one of his dad's suits, and the crowd ended up chanting Gumby at him.
He had a green Elvis jumpsuit that Bill used to wear, and he did look like, it was a good call by the audience. He did look like Gumby wearing that thing.
After they had worked there, Jamie was in Jonesboro working the gimmicks table for Bill one night, and I yelled across the arena, "Hey, Gumby," like that. And he popped big time when I went to the gimmicks table. He said, "Did you see that?" And "Are you from Knoxville?" A lot of the guys in the business didn't understand the tape trading thing, had no idea what was going on. So that was awesome. And that's my favorite part. I go with Josh. I might have to go back and look, but yeah, that might be closest to my favorite match that we've watched so far also.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. There's no question that was the best part of the show. And I knew when Josh mentioned facials, that was probably gonna be your favorite, because I know you're a big fan of
I am a big fan of facials, so
I knew that would lock you in for sure.
If you know what I mean.
If I do know what you mean there, so I've heard. But so right now, let's go down to the Mid-South Coliseum, November 15th, 1993, drawing a crowd of 1,250 people for a alleged gate of $8,600, which was nothing to sneeze at in 1993. But then again, we're a long way from those 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 house days back in the 80s. Now we are all high-fiving when it's 900 or more. Back just a few years before this, they'd all been on suicide watch if they drew this kind of house on a average Monday night that we didn't even stack the card. Now we're celebrating 1,250. It's a win, but that's just where we're at right now. So opening match of the night saw Jeff Gaylord and Mike Anthony beat PG-13. The Warlock beat Del Rios in a rematch from television. Midget D defeated Little Eagle, and as a result, Little Eagle was unmasked. So hopefully we get footage of that on the next show. In the fourth match of the night, the American Eagles went to a draw with PHI DELTA SLAM. And now the next match is going to be the first of 3 matches in a row that have no context, because nothing we saw on television helped set this up. But we have talked about in recent weeks that this has been kind of a running thing. Match number 5, Downtown Bruno beat Richard Lee in a loser leaves town match.
Woo, yay!
So, we won't be hearing from Richard Lee for a while. So, that's disappointing. Not really. The Dirty White Girl, Kimberly, beat Toni Adams via disqualification. Then in the 7th match, Doug Gilbert and the Dirty White Boy, Tony Anthony, beat the Moondogs, Spike and Cujo, via disqualification. In the 8th match, Jerry the King Lawler and Brian Christopher beat the Real Man, Rex Hargrove, and the Birdman, Koko B. Ware, via countout. And then in the main event, as we already discussed, Crush pinned Jeff Jarrett to win the USWA Heavyweight title. And it specifies in the notes here, we'll go ahead and say it because it happens pretty quickly. The title was later returned to Jarrett due to outside interference from Rex Hargrove and Toni Adams. Now, I'm sure you're all asking yourself, okay, we have outside interference almost in every match. Why would this warrant having the title returned to Jeff Jarrett? Well, the reason being, the WWF and USWA working relationship is going to go away for a little bit, because this is the week Jerry Lawler was arraigned in Louisville on November 22nd and charged by the Jefferson County, Kentucky grand jury on 5 counts of an alleged, due to an alleged illegal encounter with a 13-year-old Louisville girl. He's also being investigated for criminal allegations in southern Indiana on a allegedly similar circumstance. I'm not going to go into all this here. Patreon with WrestleCopia. They put the show notes up, everything, my guideline of what we cover here on the show. I put in the show notes all the notes about the Jerry Lawler lawsuit and everything that went on with that. You can go there and read all that. It's a lot. I'm not going to sit here and make people listen to me read all this stuff for 30 minutes. And quite frankly, I just don't want to talk about it. In the end, Jerry Lawler was all that was dropped. The girl came back and admitted that she made all of it up, that none of it happened. Some people believe that. Some people don't believe that. Everybody has their opinions on it. This show's fun. I don't care to talk about all that. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but it's something that happened. If you want to read about it, it's out there. You can read it on our Patreon. You can read it other places, but I don't care to talk about it here. I don't know how you guys feel.
No, the only thing I want to comment on when this happened was that, if I remember correctly, Lawler went to bat on TV all the time about it. Is this the time that he would do the interviews and talk about it? And I was going to the Coliseum, and I don't know what I was doing there at this time, 1993. But when it was going on, I went to the Coliseum and was going through the back, but I hadn't talked to anyone that day. Jerry pulls up, and this is after me and Jerry had that little where he insulted me. And Jerry was in the car, and he was like, "Hey, Brian," he goes, "this is my lawyer." And I met Jerry's lawyer, and he was like, "Go right through there with my lawyer, and you just go get you a seat wherever you want to sit." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Thank you."
Yeah, he was letting you meet his lawyer before you go writing anything on the internet or sending anything to Meltzer. This is my lawyer. This is Brian Trammell.
Yeah, that's what he did. I'm serious.
Get his address from him, lawyer, in case we need to send him any cease and desist paperwork in the very
I
near
really
future.
thought it was for him to get on my good side. Maybe not, but he knew I was a kayfabe sheet guy. He was nice enough to let me go through the Coliseum like I always did for free. And so it was nice for me to do that. But that's one of the things I remember. And I was by myself too. So I don't know. It was really weird. My wife at the time may have just dropped me back behind where that cage is back there, all the fencing is. And I went through with the lawyer. So
well, there you go. So here's some notes from the Observer. We don't have very many, but a new college frat boy tag team debuted this week. Brett Blair and Billy Brooks from Florida debuted on television and were said to be not bad, although their television match with Mike Anthony and Jeff Gaylord quickly fell apart due to the ropes breaking once again on the USWA ring. So Brett Blair and Billy Brooks are not names I recognize, but I wasn't keeping up with Florida independence in 1993. So I didn't really dig into it any further than that. Once I realized that was who that was, I was like, all right, well, I don't feel like there's any backstory there. Not really sure what their end would have been to even end up in Memphis. But like you said, it was not really, I don't know. I guess maybe it was a somewhat original gimmick for the time. I know there's been a number of PHI Delta slams throughout wrestling. Like you said, even in recent times with Memphis. But I don't know. I'm not guessing they're going to stick around real long. Another note in there says Jeff Jarrett's going full-time with the WWF in a few weeks and will only be working occasional shots here in the USWA moving forward. And, of course, we talked about Jerry Lawler's legal troubles. Of course, this would be right around the time of the Survivor Series where it was scheduled to be Bret Hart and his family taking on Jerry Lawler and his Knights. We've talked about how Jeff Gaylord was scheduled to be a Knight. We know that Del Rios has played the Red Knight here in Memphis, although I don't think he did the pay-per-view. I know Greg Valentine was a Knight at the pay-per-view. It was Gaylord, Valentine. Barry Horowitz was one of the Knights at the pay-per-view, and I can't remember who the fourth one was. One was supposed to be Terry Funk, but his horse got sick, and he went home to Amarillo, and I don't remember who filled that fourth spot, but I don't think it was Dale. I'm pretty sure it was not Dale. But anyway, Shawn Michaels would step in, and now inexplicably, Shawn Michaels had Knights out there with him and took up the feud with Bret Hart. But there was already enough established, issues with Bret and Shawn that it didn't seem too far out of the question for Shawn to step into that role. So Anyway, that's where we're at now. Next week, now this coming week, is going to be a busy week for me. We've got the Eddie Gilbert book dropped yesterday. Doug did the first virtual signing for it. I've been getting messages from people all week long sending me pictures where they've got their book in the mail. This Tuesday night, the Dark Side of the Ring episode about Eddie Gilbert will debut. This Thursday, or early Friday morning, late Thursday night, I'll be flying out to Philadelphia for the One and Done event. So I'm going to try, and I'm not going to name the person because I've tried to interview this person in the past and it hasn't always worked out. But I've got a couple of different interviews lined up that I'm going to try to nail down this week. And so next week's episode 51, I failed to mention too, this is episode number 50 of the Retro Wrestling Review. 50 weeks of this. We haven't missed a one. And next week I'll be doing an interview with somebody USWA related, or at least that's the plan. And so you guys and Richard will all have the week off next week, and then we will return the following week, picking back up where we left off as we're in the home stretch of wrapping up 1993. And much to Josh's excitement, and from what it sounds like, a lot of the listeners, the over 70, almost 80% of the people in the poll voted for us to move on to 1991 once we wrap up 1993. So that is where we're headed for the next season, if you will, of the Retro Wrestling Review, 1991. BT, I know you were out of it in this time period. Were you still watching in 1991?
I was in the stages right then of probably watched it pretty constant in 91. I'm going to go back and try to look at the Observer, and I could probably tell whether I was still watching it. I can't remember what year I got married, but it was in that era. I had graduated from college in 91. Somewhere in between all of that, I sold my collection and all of that, and I was done with tape trading. But up until that moment, I believe I was still watching it every week in 91. So I'm excited about it.
All right. So you'll still be down to tag in whenever Richard is not available, correct?
Oh, yeah. I'm always down.
All right. Good deal. All right. Well, let's plug a couple things before we get out of here. And, of course, let's start with the man that you are, the owner, founder, and president of stspod.club. What you got going on over there?
See stspod.club, Shiznit Minute every day. We review Memphis wrestling every week and do Rolling Into Mempho. We just completed episode 219 of Rolling Into Mempho. And this past week, I did my Mania show. This was our 8th annual 10-10-10 Moments of Mania. And then we got a show from Lance coming on Monday. And then that's it until Saturday for the other review show. So that's what we're closing up. And next month is all episodes are Memphis in May. I have to say it that way since I don't have the trademark to Memphis in May. And we'll do a lot of stuff from old Memphis. We're going to have Gene on to talk about the Eddie Gilbert book. And we'll have Steve Crawford to come and talk about the 1977 Memphis wrestling and some of the new people that are on Memphis wrestling right now. We're going to stop by and talk to us, including Dustin Starr talking about how he puts together the television. I'm excited to hear about that, and I may be the only one excited about that. So
that stuff's always interesting to hear how those things come together. So, yeah, it sounds like you got a lot of great stuff going on there as always. And, of course, speaking of people who have great stuff going on, there's always great stuff going on at P3 Radio. I assume since Richard's out of pocket, this week's episode has been recorded. It has been released. And have you heard it, Brian?
I have listened to it. I gave it 4 out of 5 hoots. I finished it up this morning. Remember, this is the podcast that always watches videos but never gives you a description. Richard's been sick, I think, 12 out of 15 weeks. Started the show talking about Teenage Mutant Ninjas and having sex with them, and also talked about mutant bears. Richard told the same story he told, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago about a sign in his backyard. This is actually a story that I'm not going to spoil, but I want you to know Richard is a fucking hero. I just want y'all to know that. Richard, you're over with me. You're a fucking hero.
That was established during the show. That's not entirely true.
No, he's a hero.
True hero.
Josh got an autograph.
I hope y'all edit in that Lex Luger theme song for Richard at the end.
I did sing. I sung a little bit of it for him.
Awesome, perfect.
Autograph. Not Richard. Josh bought an autograph of Honey Titties. They played I Hate Rap song. By the way, Private Obsession is an episode that they did, and they brag about this all the time, but it's true. They reviewed Private Obsessions.
They did a watch along.
Yeah, watch along, and it's got the most listens ever. And
it was an
old.
One
what would you
episode.
say that was? Soft porn? Was that soft porn?
Action pay-per-view type porn.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like HBO type stuff.
Right.
But anyway,
yeah,
it is still. I mean, it's like double number 2. In the amount of listens. It's insane. Leaps and bounds above it, and I attribute it to being such a great movie.
There you go. Wrestling Figs talk. We got some Wrestling Figs talk. We got some elementary kids getting drunk and passed out on Jello cocks. I'm not going to touch that, but that's what it was. And then there's a skiing accident that Richard and Josh watch, and Richard just tells you right up front he wouldn't even have tried to save his wife. That was this week on P3 Radio.
Oh my God. Like total heel shit, dude. Total heel shit. He lies about being a hero and takes somebody else's thunder. Then, I mean, he didn't even bat an eye. I was like, would you have tried to catch your wife? Nope. I would save myself. Somebody's got to call the police. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. Whatever, dude.
And ironically, I think it's worth mentioning, mutant bears, big fans of Honey Titties. So, as you would expect, they would be.
Well, no, okay. Mutant bears would be, forget it.
Also, make sure if you want to leave us a message, if you have a question for any of us, if you have a question for one of the recurring characters that you've heard call into the show, we'll make sure the question gets to them. You can leave that question at 256 Egg Iron. That's right. Dial the numbers that correspond with the letters Egg Iron on your phone. You can call, you can leave us a message, you can text a message. But again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you want to talk to one of the characters that you've heard here on the show, or just one of the arbitrary voices you hear us throw out there every now and again, please give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Make sure you check out everything related to the podcast over at USWApodcast.com. That's all the different social media. That's the merch. All that can be found at USWApodcast.com. Also, for a ton of great wrestling content, all kinds of different podcasts covering every kind of wrestling you could think. If you like old school wrestling, you will find something for you over at WrestleCopia.com. Make sure you check out everything our friend Ray Russell has going on over there. It's a lot of good stuff. And trying to find the link here where producer Smokey has put it. There it is. Check out DougGilbertPodcast.com. That's right. Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. It's back up and running now. It's in a new feed. You can find it over on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@Retro Wrestling Archive. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's all over the place. iHeartRadio, but you can find all the links to it there at DougGilbertPodcast.com. You can also find the link for the Eddie Gilbert book, tinyurl.com/Eddie Gilbert book. That's right. Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, the uncrowned king of professional wrestling, is out now. You can get it and order it there, or you can order it at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, BooksAMillion.com. It will be in stores soon. But the least expensive way to get it is at tinyurl.com/Eddie Gilbert book, because the shipping is included when you order it there. And like I said, there's been people sending me pictures of books all week long where they have been getting them in. I still don't have one in hand, Josh. Mine hasn't come, but all these other people have them.
Yeah, I've got to get mine ordered, man. And yeah, I guess eventually I'll get it autographed by both the authors there.
Well, Doug got a couple of boxes in. He did a virtual signing yesterday.
I seen it said first virtual signing. He's going to do more.
That's the implication. I haven't heard dates and times, but yes, they are going to be. There will be some more of those. One of the guys from the publishing company reached out to me this week. They are going to be in Philadelphia this weekend. They're at WrestleCon. They're going to have books there on hand. So Doug will be there to sign them. I'll be there to sign it if you want me to sign it, even though I'm a no name, but I was co-author of the book. So I got that.
I tell you what, so that's this weekend. The next weekend you'll be in town, correct?
Yes, I will.
Well, I know we probably could handle this after the show, but I could probably just give you the money and you both sign it, and we could do it that way.
Yeah, we can make
just
that
let me know.
Yeah, we'll do. We can make that happen. No problem. So don't forget, yes, myself along with Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich will be at the big WrestleCon and TWA One and Done event at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia this weekend. If you're listening to this as it drops on Wednesday or shortly thereafter, come check it out. What an event that's going to be. Everybody who's anybody in Philadelphia wrestling history, TWA, ECW are going to be at the WrestleCon. Even people who don't have a history there, like Ric Flair, is going to be there. But you can come by. You can meet Doug and Tommy. I'd love to meet you. We'll have those books there on hand to sign. And so we hope to see everybody out at that event. I'm super excited about it. Never been to Philadelphia. Never been to the ECW arena. I've never even flown before. I'm 47 years old. I've never flown in my life. I'm doing it for the first time.
What a time to do it, right, Gene?
Yeah, I'm excited. Going to be hanging out with those guys all weekend. So getting to see the sights in Philadelphia alongside the Big Don himself, Tommy Rich. He's already told me that, me, him, and Doug, we're going to go out and get a slice, just like the FBI used to do there in Philadelphia. We're going to get us a Philly cheesesteak. We're going to do it up right. So, yeah, man, I'm really excited about this trip. We're going to have a lot of fun. So I will probably be posting videos along the way of this trip over at youtube.com/@Retro Wrestling Archive. I'm sure I'll throw some up on the Facebooks too. But my adventure of getting to Atlanta and getting to the airport, and then after I get to Philadelphia and all that stuff. There'll be videos throughout the weekend. Hopefully I can catch some people at the WrestleCon and talk to a few interesting people there. Before we go, last and certainly not least, our good friend, our tag team partner, Richard Mulliken, has a big comedy show coming up at Cody's in Jackson, Tennessee, as this airs next Saturday, May the 10th. He'll be performing stand-up. I'll be performing stand-up. We may even twist Josh's arm and get him up there, but he'll definitely be there. You definitely can, if you're a fan of the show and you want to come hang out with us and get a picture or something, we'd love to have you. And you want to get those tickets in advance. Tickets at the door are going to be $10. If you get them in advance, they're going to be $7. Plus, you'll definitely have entry into the building. If you wait till that night and this thing sells out like we think it will, you may not get in. It may be a wasted trip. So go to codyscomedy.eventbrite.com right now. You can get a ticket for just $7. A whole comedy show. Cody's is a bar. They got great food, great atmosphere. You can hang out after the show and stick around for a whole night full of shenanigans. So come hang out with us next Saturday night, May the 10th, Jackson, Tennessee, Cody's Bar and Grill, codyscomedy.com or codyscomedy.eventbrite.com is where you get the tickets. Josh, anything else before we take it home?
I think you pretty much covered it and smothered it and chunked it and all that stuff, man. I'm excited about this coming up event. I think it's going to be, it is Richard Lee's vision realized. And I can't wait. He's going to do great. It's going to be great. You're going to be one of the funniest sumbitches there as well. It's going to be great.
It's been a minute since I've been on stage, so I'm a little nervous. Hoping I'm prepared. But Richard's been working on this for quite a while. And he's putting a lot of time and effort and lack of sleep and thought into it. I've been there. I know how it is. But, man, you can attest, we're both in our group text. He has been obsessing over it and has been preparing, and man, it should be a great show. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it as well. Anytime I can hang out with you guys, it's going to be fun, but to have people there and be able to go up and do some stand up and have a good time. It's going to be a fun night. And just for $7, if you get those tickets in advance, so do it. Go to codyscomedy.eventbrite.com.
Be responsible. Don't try to overpay. You're cheating yourself out of $3. And like you said, you may not even be able to get in. You'll be stuck on the fucking side of the building with a cup trying to listen to the set. That's not going to work.
That's right. Just like BT would have been stuck out behind the Mid-South Coliseum if Jerry Lawler and his attorney hadn't walked him inside because he was too cheap to buy a ticket. He wouldn't have got in if it wasn't for Jerry Lawler and his attorney. And Jerry Lawler and his attorney probably aren't going to be hanging around outside the back of Cody's to let you in for free. So you just better go ahead and buy a ticket while you can. And that was my attempt to tie things together from this week's show. So, hey, if you want to hear more, you can hear more from me and Josh on Patreon, as we are about to go on there right now and do our post-show hot mics that we do every week at our patreon.com/@Retro Wrestling Archive. And we'll see you here next week. Make sure you join us for episode 51 to find out who my surprise mystery guest will be on next week's show. If it's who I'm trying to get on, who's agreed to come on, and as long as we can make it happen, it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. See you next week.